Dear students, so we continue with the next topic, vapor pressure of liquid. This topic was included in class 11 as well under properties of liquids, but in class 12 it has again been included so as to understand a very important law that we will be getting called Raoult's law. So let us try to understand first what is vapor pressure of a liquid and what are the factors which affect the vapor pressure of a liquid. Okay. Let us consider a closed vessel, and in this closed vessel you have some liquid kept in it, a volatile liquid. What do you mean by volatile liquid? A liquid that vaporizes is called a volatile liquid. Now, here I would like to mention that all the liquid molecules whatsoever is present in this beaker do not possess same amount of energy. Some liquid molecules have lesser energy in them, some liquid molecules have large amount of energy in them. So those liquid molecules which are highly energetic, especially which are at the surface, will have the tendency to escape out to the vapor phase. And this process, as all of you are familiar with, is called evaporation. So what is evaporation? It is the process in which the liquid gets converted to vapor. Okay. Now, once the liquid molecules get converted to the vapor phase, so the vapor molecules become random, directionless, and as they are highly energetic, directionless, random, they keep on moving here and there, and they keep on colliding with each other as well as with the walls of the container. They will collide with the walls of the container, and during this collision they will lose their energy. And when these liquid molecules lose this energy, their energies, whatever they possess, so they will again have the tendency of getting back to the liquid phase. Remember, it is the energy of the liquid molecules that help the liquid molecule to get converted to the vapor phase. But once they go into the vapor phase and they lose their energy, so they will be again reconverted back to the liquid. And this process, so previously I said liquid is getting converted to vapor, it is called what? Evaporation. Evaporation. Okay? And vapor, after losing its energy, reconverts back to liquid. So this is called condensation. This is called condensation. So initially, when you kept the liquid in this closed vessel, the vessel has to be closed, mind you, otherwise we will not get vapor pressure. So initially the liquid molecules were showing only evaporation, but after some time some of the vapor molecules lose their energy and reconvert back to the liquid phase, and that process is referred to as condensation. So it has been observed that if you keep the liquid for some time, the rate of conversion of liquid to vapor, that is evaporation, becomes exactly equal to the rate of conversion of vapor to liquid, that is condensation. And we say state of equilibrium is achieved. At this particular state of equilibrium, whatever vapors are present over the surface of the liquid, they will be exerting some pressure, and this pressure is referred to as the vapor pressure of liquid. So if you are asked to define vapor pressure of a liquid, so we can say it is the pressure exerted by the vapor molecules present over the surface of the liquid and in equilibrium with the liquid at a given temperature. So temperature to temperature, the vapor pressure will change, because the moment we change the temperature, you will see that the vapors created will be higher and vapor pressure will also become high. But that we are going to discuss under the topic factors affecting the vapor pressure of liquid. So in a nutshell, we can say that when the rate of evaporation and condensation becomes equal and state of equilibrium is achieved, at that particular point of time, whatever vapors are present over the surface of the liquid, the pressure exerted by them is called vapor pressure of a liquid. The vessel must be kept closed because if the vessel is kept open, then the vapors will have the tendency of escaping out, and there is no case of reconverting the vapors back to the liquid because they will escape out. There is no question of converting them back to the liquid, and that is why we have learnt in equilibrium chapter also, all the equilibria involving gases, the reaction or process must be carried out in closed vessels. Otherwise, the equilibrium will never be achieved. Okay. Now we discuss the factors affecting the vapor pressure of liquid. There are two factors, my dear students. One factor is internal, and that depends upon the nature of liquid. Nature of liquid. You cannot change the nature of the liquid. The nature will remain fixed. The external factor is temperature. The external factor is temperature. So, the two factors which affect the vapor pressure of liquid is number one, nature of liquid, and number two, the temperature. Now, let us first talk about how nature of liquid is going to affect the vapor pressure of a liquid. So, at first, we will categorize the liquids on the basis of its nature into two types. Non-polar liquids. Non-polar liquids. What are non-polar liquids, my dear friends? Those liquids in which the molecules present in them do not possess any polarity or charge on them. Now, if the liquid molecules do not possess any charge on them, then the interaction between them will be very poor. Say, for example, carbon tetrachloride, benzene, and most of the organic liquids, either they are non-polar or they are very less polar. So both non-polar as well as less polar liquids are categorized under this. And the second type of liquids are polar liquids. Polar liquids like water. Why water is called a polar liquid? Because it develops a partial positive charge on it, and therefore due to the polarity developed on H bond OH, hydrogen will gain a partial positive charge and hydroxyl group, OH group, will gain a partial negative charge. So if two water molecules are present in the vicinity of each other, then there will be an interaction developed between the water molecules, which is better called what? Intermolecular hydrogen bonding. So the polar liquids have interactions, strong interactions among themselves. Non-polar liquids have poor or no interactions at all, due to which you can understand that if the interaction is strong, the liquid molecules will not be easily escaping to the vapor phase. But if the interaction is poor, so they can easily escape to the vapor phase, as a result of which we can say that non-polar liquids like CCl4, benzene have high vapor pressure. Why they have high vapor pressure? Because the interaction in the liquid phase is very poor, and therefore the liquid molecules easily get vaporized even at room temperature. But on the other hand, water like liquids which are polar in nature, water, ammonia, hydrogen fluoride, so they all have strong interactions among themselves, and they do not allow each other to easily escape out to go to the vapor phase. A simple experiment that can prove on the basis that can prove this particular property of liquid can be observed if you take a glass of water and if you take glass of petrol. Let the glasses be open and you will see after some time the glass of water will remain as such. There will be very little difference in its volume. But as far as the glass of petrol is concerned, almost the whole of petrol will easily get vaporized, indicating that petrol is highly volatile. And why it is volatile? Because it is a non-polar liquid with poor interactions among the liquid molecules. So this is how we can say that nature of liquid determines the vapor pressure. So if the liquid have strong interactions, vapor pressure will be lesser. If the liquid has weak interaction, so automatically the vapor pressure will be higher for such kind of liquids. The second property that decides the vapor pressure of the liquid is, of course, the temperature. It is an external factor because we have control over the temperature. We can reduce the temperature, we can increase the temperature. Now, temperature is nothing but it is a form of heat, as we all are familiar with. If you rise the temperature or if you supply more heat to a particular liquid, automatically more number of liquid molecules will vaporize faster. Suppose we have two closed containers and both of them have equal amount of water in them. Equal amount of water in them. But the difference is, say, this is kept at 40 degrees Celsius, this is kept at 60 degrees Celsius. If you are to compare the vapors present in them, it is found that water at 60 degrees Celsius will have greater vapor molecules and as a result greater vapor pressure. Why? Because higher the temperature, more will be the conversion of liquid to the vapor phase, and even when equilibrium is achieved, that is rate of evaporation becomes equal to rate of condensation, the amount of vapors will be higher at higher temperature. So I can increase the vapor pressure of a liquid by increasing the temperature, and at the same time I can decrease the vapor pressure of a particular liquid by decreasing the temperature. Nature of liquid, I don't have any control over them. I cannot change the nature of liquid, but what I can have control over is the temperature. If I increase the temperature, vapor pressure increases. If I decrease the temperature, vapor pressure decreases. There is a graph that has been plotted between vapor pressure of liquid versus temperature. It has been found out that the graph is exponential. What is the meaning of the term exponential graph? It means if you increase the temperature by small amount, the vapor pressure of the liquid will increase by a large amount. That is the meaning of exponential. If this curve would have been linear, had it been a straight line, then I would have said that the increase is proportional. What is the meaning of the term proportional? Whatever amount of temperature you are increasing, same way the vapor pressure is also increasing. But it is not a straight line, it is a curve and it is exponentially getting upwards, suggesting that a small increase in the temperature will increase the vapor pressure to a large extent. Okay, so we can say that two factors which affect the vapor pressure of the liquid is or are: number one, nature of the liquid, under which we discussed that polar liquids have lesser vapor pressure due to strong intermolecular forces of attraction, whereas non-polar liquids have higher vapor pressure due to weaker intermolecular forces of attraction. Second factor, which is the external factor, is the temperature. When you increase the temperature, you are supplying greater amount of energy to the liquid molecules, as a result of which greater is the conversion to the vapors and higher will be the vapor pressure. I hope the topic is clear to you. Now, as we see, the topic is vapor pressure of liquid-liquid mixture. So far, we have discussed is the vapor pressure of a single liquid. But what if a liquid is mixed up with another liquid, both of which are volatile in nature? So if two liquids are mixed together, let us say I am mixing up two different types of liquids, both of which are volatile. And because the liquids are of two kinds, so let me mark it with black as well as blue color. So the blue liquid will have its own vapors and the black one will also have its own vapors, and both of them will exert their own vapor pressures. But here I would like to introduce a new term that is called partial pressure. Why partial pressure, and why didn't we talk about this term partial pressure previously when I was discussing about vapor pressure of a liquid? My dear students, when a liquid is present alone, it has only one type of vapor molecules, and therefore the pressure exerted by those molecules were pure pressure because only one type of component was present. But when there is mixture of liquids, when both type of vapors are present together, then no longer the pressure will be pure vapor pressure, rather it will be called as partial vapor pressure. No doubt, both of the liquids who are present, let us say that liquid A is denoted by black and liquid B is denoted by blue. So both type of liquids are present and both of them will be exerting their own vapor pressures. And no longer we will be using the term pure pressure because it's a mixture now. Had it been a single liquid, I would have used the term pure pressure. But no longer it is a single liquid, it is a mixture of two liquids, both of which are volatile, and therefore both of them are exerting some vapor pressure of their own. Here I would like to mention a very important law called Raoult's law. Raoult's law. What does this law states? The law states that the partial pressure of any one particular component in the mixture, it can be A also, it can be B also, is directly proportional to its mole fraction in the liquid phase. So let us try to understand this very concept deeply. It says that out of liquid A and B, the one whose amount is more, obviously its mole fraction will be more. So that is going to provide greater vapor pressure, and therefore we say that the one which is present in larger amount in the liquid phase will have larger partial pressure over the surface of the liquid, and automatically we can say that the other with lesser percentage, lesser mole fraction, lesser amount inside the liquid phase will exert lesser vapor pressure above the surface of the liquid. Or I can say Pi is equal to constant of proportionality into Xi. If one is interested to get the value of the constant of proportionality K, what we can do? Let us say that we go to that phase where the component is present alone. You all know that sum total of mole fraction is 1. If alone the mole fraction of a particular component is made 1, it means no other component is present in it, it is present alone, it is a pure liquid. If I keep Xi equal to 1, then K will be equal to Pi. But when Xi is equal to 1 and the liquid becomes pure, no longer we can use the term partial pressure. What pressure we should use? We should use pure pressure. So in that case, we can write Pi takes the value of Pi degree. What is the meaning of Pi degree? Pure pressure when the component is present alone. Under what case Pi takes the value of Pi degree? If mole fraction of an individual component is 1, then only the Pi will take the value of Pi degree. At every case, when they are mixture, Pi cannot be called as Pi degree. Pi degree is a special case when the liquid is present alone. So that is very important for us to understand. So if Xi is made 1 and Pi takes the value of Pi degree, so automatically K will be Pi degree. So if I put the value of K here, So I can write Pi is equal to Pi degree into mole fraction. Fine. So this is the mathematical expression for Raoult's law, which states that partial pressure of a particular component in the mixture is equal to the product of its pure pressure when present alone into its mole fraction in the liquid phase, and it is applicable to all volatile liquids whosoever is present in the mixture. I hope it is clear. Again I am repeating, from Raoult's law we say that greater the mole fraction of a particular component in the liquid phase, higher will be its partial pressure above the surface of the liquid. This is the mathematical expression, and to get the value of K, I have set the condition when the liquid is present alone, that is Xi is equal to 1. In that case, the Pi will be getting its special value Pi degree, which is pure pressure, and this is how, by putting the value of Xi equal to 1 and Pi equal to P degree, K takes the value of Pi degree. I put it in the general expression and I get Pi equal to Pi degree into Xi. So this is, as I said, is general expression. Now let us come back to the situation where both liquid A and liquid B are volatile. And because both liquid A and B are volatile, both will be following the Raoult's law. And if both are following the Raoult's law, so we can say Pa equal to P degree A into Xa and Pb equal to P degree B into Xb. So separately we have applied the Raoult's law both on A and B. Here in the vapor phase, we get vapors of A, we get vapors of B. Both are present together. Okay. There is a law that we discussed in class 11 called Dalton's law of partial pressure. What does this law state? It states that if the vapors or gases are chemically non-reacting, they are not changing their individuality, okay, they are not changing their identity, then the total pressure of the vapors will be equal to the partial pressures of all the gases. So above the surface of the liquid, if we are to calculate the total pressure P total, I can write P total is equal to Pa plus Pb. What is Pa? Partial pressure of component A, and Pb is partial pressure of component B. Or by applying Raoult's law, we can write P degree A Xa plus P degree B Xb. Remember, Xa can also be written as 1 minus of Xb. How? Because sum total of mole fraction is always equal to 1. So if I want to express it in terms of Xb mole fraction only, then we can use this relation. Or I can write it is equal to P degree A plus P degree B minus P degree A into Xb. So this expression we get in terms of mole fraction of B. I could have converted into mole fraction of A as well. The thing is same. So from this mathematical expression, we get one thing, that the total pressure keeps on increasing with increase in Xb, provided P degree B is greater than P degree A. It is a mathematical expression. Okay, let me repeat again. P total is linearly associated with Xb. So if Xb keeps on increasing and this is greater than this, then P total will obviously increase. But here, let me tell you that if P degree B is lesser than that of P degree A, that means liquid B is less volatile, then with increase in Xb, the P total will keep on decreasing. In short, we can say that out of liquid A and B, if B is more volatile, then with the increase in the mole fraction of B, the total pressure will increase. But if B is less volatile, then with the increase in the mole fraction of B, the P total will decrease. So the P total largely depends upon who is more volatile, whether its mole fraction is more increasing or decreasing. If the mole fraction of more volatile component is increasing, the total pressure obviously will increase. Now we talk about vapor pressure of solid liquid mixture. The previous topic was vapor pressure of liquid mixture, both of which were volatile, and that is why both of them had contribution towards the total pressure. Now we are talking about a mixture in which the liquid is volatile and the solid is not. And because the solid is not volatile, so therefore it will not have any contribution, but liquid as usual will have contribution. Suppose I take again a closed vessel with some volatile liquid in it. Volatile liquid in it. Let us say the volatile liquid is A, and to this we are adding some non-volatile solid. So let us say non-volatile solid or solute is denoted by B. Now we can expect only the vapors of A, my dear students, over the surface of the liquid. There will be no vapor of B. Why? Because B is a solid, a non-volatile solid, and it remains only in the liquid phase. It will not have the tendency of escaping out. And therefore we can say that even though both A and B are mixed together, as previously also A and B were mixed, but the difference is here the vapors will be of only A. B will not create any vapor. Why? Because B is nothing but a non-volatile solute. So if we want to apply the Dalton's law of partial pressure, so we can write P total is equal to PA only. Why there is no PB? Obviously because the vapors of B are not formed. So the overall vapor that is produced is only due to A. Or I can write P total is equal to P degree A into XA, applying Raoult's law to the volatile component, or it is equal to P degree A into 1 minus of XB. Now this is a very important expression which helps us to understand that even though B has no contribution towards the overall vapor pressure, but at the same time, as you keep on increasing the amount of B, the P total will keep on decreasing. Why is it so? It is because when B was not at all present, A was a pure liquid, the number of vapors created were higher. But the moment we add B to it, it itself does not vaporize, but as you can see, it will block certain surface and will not allow the A to easily go to the vapor phase. It is same as that of a student in a classroom who is not understanding anything and is not giving any interest in the class. Now when a student does not understand anything in the classroom, he does not sit idle, rather he starts disturbing the other students as well. So as a result, what will happen? That particular student who himself is not understanding anything will have negative impact on the classroom as he starts disturbing the other students as well. So similarly, we had a bright intelligent student A which was vaporizing highly, but the moment we add up a non-volatile solute B to it, it itself does not get vaporized, but at the same time it also does not allow the A to vaporize fully, as it is obstructing the A to go to the vapor phase. As a result, what will happen? Higher the mole fraction of the non-volatile component, the overall pressure will keep on decreasing, because it is creating a negative impact on the value of Pa. So when you have a liquid-liquid mixture, both of them are volatile, both of them have got some contribution, and that is why P total is equal to Pa plus Pb. But when we have solid liquid mixture, then only one of them has contribution, and its contribution is largely affected negatively by the solid component, because the solid component, no doubt, itself does not get vaporized, but at the same time it also does not allow the volatile component to vaporize completely. And therefore, as you keep on adding the non-volatile solute to the mixture, the contribution of the volatile component will gradually decrease. Talking about the graphical representation of liquid-liquid mixture, say A and B, both of which are volatile and both of them are following the Raoult's law, we have got the general expression of Raoult's law as Pi equal to Pi degree into Xi. So if I make Pi as Y and Xi as X, so automatically we can see that the equation is similar to that of Y equal to Mx, where the intercept C is 0. And we know that for such kind of graph, it is a straight line passing through origin. So keeping in mind this fact, if I apply this concept to both A and B separately, then we can understand the graph. So let us say that we have this graphical representation drawn in such a way that liquid A is less volatile. So when present alone, Xa will be 1 and automatically Xb will be 0. I hope you have understood why. Because sum total of mole fraction is 1. If alone Xa is 1, then automatically Xb will be 0. So this line stands for pure liquid A. And whatever vapor pressure, this is a vapor pressure axis, this is a mole fraction axis. So whatever vapor pressure is exerted is due to pure A. On the extreme right, if Xb is made 1, so Xa will be 0 here. And let us say that volatility of B is higher, so it is P degree B. It is not necessary that A will always be less volatile and B will be more. I have simply considered, let us say that liquid A is less volatile, so it will have lesser pure pressure, and liquid B is more volatile, it will have higher vapor pressure when present alone. Now, as you keep on shifting from left to right hand side, what is happening? The mole fraction of A is gradually decreasing. How do I know? Because in the extreme left, Xa was 1, which is its highest value, and at extreme right, Xa is 0, which is its lowest value. So as you keep on moving from left to right, you will see that the straight line also keeps on decreasing and reduces to 0. Similarly, from right to left, if you travel, as the amount of B is decreasing, so its partial pressure will also decrease. It's a straight line, my dear friends. So this line is meant for Pa equal to P degree A Xa, and this line is meant for Pb equal to P degree B Xb. So remember, Y equal to Mx type equation has been drawn. So at every point starting from this, let me say that only at the initial point of time the partial pressure took the value of P degree A. Pa takes the value of P degree A only when X is equal to 1. But thereafter, at every other point, no longer it is P degree A, rather it is Pa, which means that Pa is variable, but P degree A is constant. Pa will keep on changing and its value will depend upon Xa. If Xa is high, Pa will be high. But if XA keeps on decreasing, PA will also keep on decreasing. And similar is the case with the component B as well. So whatever I have explained in terms of A, the same is applicable in terms of B as well. Now if we are joining these 2 points, it is again a straight line. So this line gives us the P total, PA plus PB, applying the Dalton's law of partial pressure. So this graphical representation is meant for liquid-liquid mixture, both of which are volatile and following the Raoult's law. Such kind of liquid mixtures are referred to as ideal solution. Ideal solution. What is an ideal solution? It is a kind of solution where both the components follow the Raoult's law at all compositions and under every temperature. So we will talk about it in details in the next coming topics, but for the time being, remember that both A and B are following the Raoult's law, and if they are following the Raoult's law, we get 3 straight lines. First straight line is meant for A, second straight line is meant for B, and the third straight line is meant for the total pressure of the solution. But if any one of the component is non-volatile, so same graph will get reduced to a single line. The other part will not be there at all. Okay. Now we talk about another small topic on which numericals have been asked, that is called vapor phase composition. We have been talking about XA and XB, where XA and XB are mole fractions in the liquid phase. But what if you are asked to calculate the mole fraction in the vapor phase? So let us try to understand with the help of this diagram. Say again we take liquid-liquid mixture, both of which are volatile. Liquid A and liquid B, both of which are volatile. And because both of them are volatile, so you will get vapors of both types above the surface of the liquid. Some marked with blue circle, some marked with black circles. This is the liquid phase, this is the vapor phase, and they are separated by a boundary. In the liquid phase, we follow Raoult's law. What is Raoult's law? PA equal to P degree A into XA. PB equal to P degree B XB. Isn't it? So, we are following the Raoult's law. Now, what about the above phase? In the vapor phase, which law needs to be followed? We will follow the Dalton's law of partial pressure that was discussed in class 11. Partial pressure of any component is equal to total pressure of the mixture into its mole fraction. Here, the mole fraction in the vapor phase has been taken as YA. Similarly, PB equal to P total into YB. So, we follow Dalton's law of partial pressure. Fine. So what is common between the liquid phase and the vapor phase? They are partial pressures. Why? Because they are in dynamic equilibrium. So in the liquid phase and vapor phase, their partial pressures are equal. And it is these partial pressures that will try to help us to connect each other. So if this diagram is clear to you, the thing will not be difficult to you to understand while doing the numericals based on this. So if PA is equal, the right hand sides will be equal, and from this what we can write? We can write YA equal to P degree A XA divided by P total, or okay, so it's better I write it here, or P degree A XA divided by P total is how much? PA plus PB. So this is how we can calculate the mole fraction of component A in the vapor phase. Similarly, we can also calculate the mole fraction of component B using the formula YB equal to P degree B into XB divided by P total, which is equal to P degree B XB divided by PA plus PB. So it is out of screen, so let me write it here. P degree B XB divided by PA plus PB. Okay, so we will have to apply these two equations so as to get the vapor phase composition. So vapor phase composition of component A will be PA by PA plus PB, and PA can be further written as P degree A XA by PA plus PB. Similarly, mole fraction of B will be PB by PA plus PB. PB can be further expanded as P degree B XB divided by PA plus PB. So the numericals that are generally asked will be such that you will be given the composition in the liquid phase. You will be given the you can say mole fractions of A and B in the liquid phase. So that will be denoted as XA and XB. With the help of XA and XB and their pure pressures, you will be asked to calculate YA and YB. So when you do the numericals, just keep in mind this particular diagram. With the help of this diagram, it will not be very difficult for you to understand how to carry out the sums on this particular topic. Simply remember that there is a boundary. Below the boundary you have liquid, above the boundary you have vapors. Below the boundary where liquid is present, Raoult's law is applied. Above the boundary where there are vapors, Dalton's law of partial pressure is applied. But the two laws are connected to each other by partial pressures which are equal, and we will be equating the right hand sides, and accordingly we can get the vapor phase composition YA and YB. So after discussion of the Henry's law as well as the Raoult's law, there is a very common topic that is asked, that can Raoult's law be considered as a special case of Henry's law? So for that we need to study the equations of both the laws. Henry's law states that partial pressure of a particular component is equal to Henry's constant into mole fraction of that gas over the surface of the liquid. So this is Henry's law. Just now we have discussed Raoult's law, which says that partial pressure of the volatile component is equal to its pure pressure multiplied with its mole fraction in the liquid phase. Okay, so here you see that KH is meant for Henry's constant and pi degree is meant for the vapor pressure of pure component. Otherwise, the two equations look very similar to each other. So if it is asked that under what condition the Henry's law and Raoult's law become equal, or in other words, the Raoult's law becomes a special case for Henry's law, so we can say that when pi degree takes the value of KH, then what? Raoult's law becomes special case of Henry's law. Whereas Henry's law is applicable for gases present over the surface of liquid, Raoult's law is applicable for the volatile component of the same liquid over the surface of the liquid. What does that mean? Here the gas taken and the liquid are different. Aerated drinks, you remember, carbon dioxide was present over water, say. So carbon dioxide is a different chemically different substance and water is chemically different substance. But when we discuss the Raoult's law, chemically both the liquid as well as the vapor were same. Physically they were different. And that is how we can understand the difference between Henry's law and Raoult's law. Okay, thank you.